Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday instead of Monday. Before we start getting into everything, I just want to apologize real quick if you guys happen to hear the hockey game going on at any point. I currently have it on my phone just so I can kind of see what's going on because, there's a game going on. The same will happen next week 100%, though I'll get into that in a minute. But anyways, happy Tuesday and welcome back to another episode of Pucks and Power Plays podcast. Pucks and Power Plays is brought to you by Boston Sports Entertainment Network. You can find BSEN at BSEN_617 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also find them on TikTok with an extra underscore, so it's _BSEN_617. You can find the podcast at Pucks and PP's Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find us on Apple or Spotify or wherever else you like to listen to podcasts. And we have a Discord that we use for book club or also to talk about hockey cards or just sports in general. It's not as active, but I'm trying to get it active again. And that will come up again in a minute. But I'm Liz, and you can find me at Liz__Fraser. And to start off, I'm going to get into the book club one first. So we used to publicly post the link to this, and then it was on Twitter, so bots found it, and we didn't want that. So in order to get the link, one, you either need to DM the podcast account, you can DM me, you can leave a comment, or you can go to our Instagram because it's in the bio over there. But speaking of book club, we are starting that up again. I have picked the book for March that I forgot to announce last week, but that's on me. March is a very, very busy month. It has my mother-in-law's and both of my parents' birthday in it, so it's like I'm all over the place. That's why it's today instead of yesterday. But that's besides the point. The book for March is in honor of book 5 of this series coming out. But throwing it all the way back to book 1, we are reading Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer. It is the Vancouver Storm series. This is the first book in it. Each book can technically be a standalone, but there are the crossovers of characters because it is same series, same team. But book 5 just recently came out, so I thought it would be really great to just start with book 1 for it. Also because it's book 1. And why not start with it so you're not thrown in, not knowing everything and being like, why do these names keep coming up? But that is our book of the month for March. I will actually post about it tomorrow. I wrote down an entire schedule. I've been really bad about posting some days. I'm so sorry. Life's been crazy with birthdays, but I will get on that. Now, the other thing that I mentioned with the game, and maybe next week, is next week might also be a Tuesday as well, considering Monday is my own mother's birthday. And there's a game that night, so it might end up being Tuesday next week. Just so she has her day, but that's fine. We'll be back to Mondays after that because, that's life. Yeah, so there's book club. There's the announcement for next week. And then I totally forgot about this because I dipped into that stuff away. But we do have a store if you want merch. I'm unfortunately not wearing my shirt right now. I'm actually wearing a shirt for something else, but I do have the shirt and I'll wear it next week to show it. But if you scan that QR code in the top corner, you will be taken to our store, which you can also find at bsen617.square.site. We have a lot of super cute merch on there, whether it's for podcasts or Boston sports in general. But there is a new women's section, and I do have a crop top that has the podcast logo on it. And oh my God, it's so cute. It's so comfortable. It fits perfectly. It's like loose and not too tight like some crop tops are, but it's also not too loose where you're like swimming, even if it's size. It's like got a nice little flow to it. It fits great. So definitely make sure to check that out. Maybe support this super cool podcast or, just Boston sports in general, especially with everything else starting up again. And then on the topic of comfy clothing, we do have a partnership, which is strong, which is a women's athleisure company, sorry. But if you go to us.juststrong.com, you can use the code PUCKS103975 for 10% off your order, which is great. They have super comfortable clothing. I have a cropped hoodie from them, which is great, especially for the type of weather that we now have, with it randomly being like 70 degrees today after being, 20 all last week. So we love that in New England. It's a lot of fun, but, we live and we deal with it because it wouldn't be New England otherwise. So that was book club. That was all the stuff. The game right now, if you see me glancing down, it is from my phone. And I think you could also see the reflection in my glasses, which is kind of funny. So enjoy a bit of the game if you can see it. But right now it is 0-0. We are playing the Kings. We are at home. We are currently on a 12-game home win streak, which is one. Super impressive. Love that. I don't know how that's going to stand up after this game, because this game's kind of freaking me out with that stat a bit stressful. It's been a very, I don't want to say boring, because boring's not the right word for it, but it's been a very, and it's not quiet either, because it's a loud game. We've had a fight already in the game. There's been hits. McAvoy's been down the tunnel. I think he's back. I actually need to double check real quick if McAvoy is back. I think he's back. I'm doing this so I'm like paying attention to the game, but I'm also not paying attention to the game, which is awful. But yes, McAvoy is back. And I didn't see it, but apparently he tripped the ref, and I think that's freaking hysterical. Honestly, good for him. If anyone was going to hit a ref, of course it was McAvoy. Like, I mean that to be nice, but with all the shit he's had to deal with, makes sense to me. But it's very, the right types of shots aren't being made. There's been a lot of posts that have been hit, or the crossbar, which has been beneficial to both goalies. But the shots are also super low for this game. I don't know if you can hear it, but they just announced it. There are 15. So the Bruins have 15 shots with 12:22 to go in the third period. The Kings have 9. They even have 10 shots. This isn't even a 30-shot game yet. We're not even at 25 shots. So it's not boring. It's just I don't know. It's going on, and this isn't what I expected, especially with the fact that the Kings are 1 point out of the wild card race right now in the West. They're 1 point below Seattle, who is the bottom wild card. We're the bottom wild card team, so I thought there'd be a lot more action to this. And because the game was going on, I prepped my prediction before the game had even started. Woo! Mason? Sorry. Bruins goal. So sorry, guys. Oh, Mason Lowry. That's fantastic. Why is he not the guy I picked? For reference, if I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but if you're new here, my family has this thing where every game I will send the lines before the game starts, and we will pick who we think is going to score the first goal for the Bruins, and we keep track of it. And I'm currently losing by 1 to my mother right now. This season has been crazy with it. I am at, I want to say 8. I gotta double check real quick. I'll show you the spreadsheet too, because why not? It is actually kind of cool. And my love for spreadsheets has been brought up before because I do this. But, I'm at 7. I lied. My mother's at 8. But if you would like to see our spreadsheet, this is our spreadsheet. It's really funny because I made, before the season started, when we did predictions with Emily and Austin, when we had Austin and Jacob on, Jacob had originally picked Zaka, and then he completely forgot and swapped it to Zaka for the start of the season. And it's really funny because he would have had it right. But we keep track of who has what right. I have little graphs so we can see how many times we have picked certain players. And then we obviously have our correct answer column, so we can see which players have scored first for the Bruins the most, because I also think that's a really fun stat, and I try to base it off of that sometimes. I don't think it's a surprise, but Geeky is currently in the lead with 13. And then our next highest is Pasta with 7, which is crazy. And then Arvidsson with 6. Mason just got his... Ooh, what the heck is going on with the benches? I'm so sorry. This is awful for my ADHD. My current monitor is blocked by a bunch of hockey cards because I'm slowly going through my collection. So like, here's half of the stack. That's on top of a box sitting in front of my other monitor. And then I have another box that has all my PWHL cards in it with a whole other stack of cards on it. So it's an organized chaos mess on my desk with the cards that are either in boxes or from packs I've recently opened. And then I have like my binders. So sorry again, but it's not updated at the moment because I forgot to update it. But this is the sheet, and then we have a bottom area that I do for playoffs because I think it's fun to have playoffs. You have to include it. We don't count preseason on here. It's preseason. It doesn't count, just like preseason doesn't count for the NHL. It's your like warm-up. Get ready for it. You still get bragging rights. It just doesn't officially count towards your score at the end of the season. But here's a completed one. Here's last season. We have these for like games where most of us picked almost everyone, except for one person. This was our Halloween game. I remember that because I thought it was so weird that it was like Halloween and we all picked the same player except for Jacob. I don't know if you can tell, but I try to pick as many different players as possible because, no offense, I probably would have picked Geeky a lot more this season, but I feel like it's just be like, oh, Geeky. I'm going to pick Geeky again and not, maybe give some other guys a chance, even though statistically speaking, I should just be picking Geeky. But we have moments. We have like this one where my dad had picked Hampus to start the game, but that was the game he got injured last season. And because he was injured before a goal, you're allowed to swap who you pick. So he went to the other Lindholm. But we have that. And then for our final game of the season, we pick 2. Just for fun, we're like, it's the last game, you might as well pick 2 different guys. So that's why there's a whole extra column in that one and no correct answer because it's for one game. And there's no playoffs that year, but this is what like a complete playoffs looks like when they make it geeky, guys. Like, I'm looking at the stats, I should not have been surprised he ended up being as good as he was last season. Boston is really just his place. He's also, I don't think I mentioned this last time. I might have. But he's tied his, what's the word? Record. Sorry, I need to pull this up now. Because I can't do more than one stat at a time off the top of my head. But yeah, he has tied his career high in points. He's at 57, which is great. I'm so happy for him. He has a new career high in goals. He's at 34. His career high in assists is 24, which is what he had last season. So one more assist, besides the fact that it puts him to a new one for points, also gives him a new one for assists. Anything else for goals is obviously new. He's already hit that. He's 3 points off from being a 60-point player. I'm still really thinking and really hoping he can hit 70 points. That's my big thing for the season is geeky 70-point player, please. I would love it so much. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I promise I'm here, guys. There's just a lot going on. This is like when we would live stream the games and we'd be like talking and then something would happen and we'd just be like staring at it and not saying anything and we'd like buffer for a minute. Oh. They kind of ran over Sway there. That's not very nice. Anyways, that's a game currently going on. That was part of my topic for today, so don't worry, I didn't get too sidetracked with that. But the big thing that has happened since we last talked is trade deadline. The Bruins didn't really do anything, which is kind of what I feel like most people saw coming or predicted. In fact, most teams didn't actually do anything. This is the, what's the word, lowest? Yeah, lowest. I want to find the stat because I think there was 20 or 22. It was the least active trade deadline since 2021. In 2021, there was 17 trades, I believe it was, and this year there was 22. 20 or 22. I'm going to pull up the stat, but I'm also pulling up our trades. So sorry. I promise it's going to be a lot better, guys, if I have a guest on with me and it's not just me going and sitting in silence. It will be better. It will get better. I'll also learn to try and figure out the ADHD. Or okay, I won't learn how to figure it out because I know how to figure it out, but I'll try and think of 25 things I can go off of from a point so I can have all of those prepared and ready. So it's not oh, these are I have a little list of what I'm going to talk about. And I know I'm going to go off the list at some point. If I think of it beforehand, I can have all of those up. So when I go off of it, I already know what to go and look at. But I'm going to find the stat. We also have had contract extensions, which I have not brought up either. I will post about those. I promise, guys. Yes, okay. NHL News posted it, but trade deadline featured 20 trades with 33 players and 18 draft picks on the move, and it was the least active trade deadline day since 2021, where only 17 trades were made. So it wasn't as active, and I feel like that was kind of known. There was no big names that were really brought up with it. Most teams weren't looking to move pieces, and if they were looking for a lot, which a lot of teams, if they were going for that guy, weren't going to give up. So I feel like we saw this coming. It wasn't a very big, what's the word? It just wasn't a big market in general. There weren't a lot of teams too interested in buying, and there weren't a lot of teams too interested in selling. So it was just a huge, we didn't know what was going on. But during this time, we have, I gotta pull it up. So much has happened. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if you can also hear my mouse as I aggressively scroll to try and get to trade deadline. But we only made 2 trades, and both of them came on trade deadline day. And I hope you know, because the first one didn't come until 11:33, I was literally sitting at work because I was working, and I kept refreshing my phone, and I'm like, I can't have a repeat of last year. I don't know who they get rid of that would make it a repeat of last year, but I can't have a repeat of last year. With losing everyone right at the last second, I'm like, oh my gosh. If I lose Geeky because he was one of the players that could have been moved, I would have lost it. Hope you know that. It would have been over, guys. But our first one wasn't really a Bruins trade. It was more a Providence trade than Boston. It was in the AHL. It was just moving guys around. We acquired 2 forwards for getting rid of a forward and defenseman. Nothing really there. And we also had a trade with Vancouver where we just gave up a 2026 6th-round pick for I want to say Reichel. I'm so sorry. I've heard of him before, but I've never actually heard his name. And I'm so sorry if I actually said it wrong. I'm awful with names. I'm going to do better with it. But every player that we have is said to be reporting to Providence. That's where they're going to be. If they get called up, great. But also, I don't necessarily think a a 6th-round pick for, I want to say he was like a former first. Yeah. He was a former first-round pick in 2020. He was the 17th pick overall. He hasn't really played consistently in the NHL minus a bit in the 23-24 season with Chicago, where he played 65 and then 70 games. And then he didn't really play this season before he was traded to Vancouver for a 4th-round pick. So the fact that they gave up a 4th round for him and then took a 6th round for him, I'll take. I'm not mad about it. He's a Providence. I feel like we could potentially use that in a year or two, especially as older guys start coming and going. We also had the topics of our unrestricted free agents, which are Peak and Arvidsson. I had to remember who it was for a minute. And Sweeney had initially talked about how he wasn't looking at talking about them with contracts because he wants the team to focus on the games over that. But it does sound like since then, oh, the Kings scored. Oh no, with exactly 6 minutes to go. That's rude. And in the middle of my sentence, very rude of them. Anyways, it now does sound like there are contract extensions being talked about specifically. I believe it was with Arvidsson. I don't know if it was also brought up about Peak. I'm going to check that one real quick. But yes. After the deadline, during his press conference, he said he's been in touch with both Arvidsson and Peak about their possible extensions. So there are talks going on about extending them. Whether you agree with it or not is a whole different story. I'm very mixed on it. I think we could just use younger talent overall in either spot and not necessarily have them, but I also don't hate them to the point where I'm like, get them out of here. So as long as we don't overpay, I'm fine with it. If we overpay, no. But if we're thinking reasonable value, no overpay, I could take it or leave it with either of them. I don't know. There's something about Arvidsson that just like, I don't know. I like him, but I don't like him at the same time. I'm just he's there, and I appreciate the moments where he does stuff. Same with Peak. But at the same time, I'm like, I could live without you. You're not someone I need desperately to stay or be on my team. So we have that. And then I'm so sorry, guys. I didn't want 20 tabs open. That is my fault. Frederick Brunette, one of our defensemen, we signed him to a 2-year contract extension on yesterday. Yeah, the 9th is yesterday. So that's more, again, AHL, Providence stuff, but I'm not mad about it. It is a 2-way contract for the 26-27 season, and then it's only a 1-way contract for the 27-28 season, which is interesting. But I'm not mad. If you've read the article, if you haven't, he's currently leading Providence defensemen in scoring with 11 goals, and he has 17 assists for 28 points. He has played in 173 AHL games, all with Providence, and he has 18 goals and 49 assists for 67 points. So the fact that 11 of his 18 goals have come from this season is insane. He's played in 55 games with them this season. He's doing great down there. He played once up with Boston, and that was for our why can't I think of our final home game of the season, that's the word. I kept thinking season opener, and I'm like, it's not the season opener. It's the opposite of the season opener. But I was there. I think he did great for that game. There was a lot of stuff with that game that I felt like was good and was bad, but I don't think he was necessarily bad. It's very exciting to watch him play, along with, I believe it was John Farinacci as well, who played for his first game with Boston in the same game, and he had a goal. So that was also really cool to see. But I think they both genuinely did great. I'm not mad about the extension, especially with the NHL cap hit of $875. Very low, very, he's there if you need him, but also with where our defense is right now, do you necessarily need him up with Boston? No. Also, real quick, I'm so sorry, but I do have to say that we are in the Ford F-150 Final 5. This is also a weird thing that happened with my family. I want to say back around 2020 or so, when Jack would forget to do it while announcing the games while they were on NESN, and he wouldn't say them till the 2-minute mark. It would bug me so much that at 5 minutes, I would start saying it. And then it just became a tradition, and every time it would hit 5 minutes remaining in a game, I would have to announce that we were in it. And then it slowly turned into a competition. Now that Judd's announcing, and he says it, I want to say pretty close to the 5-minute mark. He doesn't always do it that well, but he has moments where he says it very close to the 5-minute mark. So it's like this little competition. And sometimes, whether we're at games or we're watching at home, like my parents or Jacob will try and distract me. So I will forget to say it. They'll be like, oh, there's 10 seconds till 5 minutes. We're going to start talking to her and distract her so she's not paying attention, so they can either beat me to it or have him beat me to it. And it's this whole thing. So enjoy the fun little stuff that comes with family and little moments that then turn into things that keep happening years later. Oh, there's a delayed penalty on the Kings. I'm so sorry. This game's going to go into overtime, and I'm going to get really stressed out, guys. But I'm not mad about that signing. And I think that's the only one we really had recently. I want to say besides Steve's, but that was a while ago. I have to double check now. Yeah, Steve's was back in January, so we haven't really done anything extension-wise. It's also weird that he's currently, after signing, hasn't played as much, and he's been more so sitting on the bench. I also think it's weird that when we last won at home after losing, so actually, this will bring us into the games that we had played. So Tuesday, we played the Penguins, and we won, obviously, because that was a home game, and we continued our winning streak at home. We beat the Penguins 2-1. I'll take it. Kuznetsov and Middlestat both had their 13th goal of the season. Sorry. The Penguins had scored first in that game with Carlson. All of the scoring came in the first period again, which is crazy that everything happens. This goes out the window when we eventually get to Sunday's game, but it's crazy that with the Penguins, especially when they played them last time, everything happened only in one period, and then it was just hockey. And it was stressful because what do you mean? We were only up a goal and nothing else happened. I hate when that happens. I need 2-3 goals for comfort before I'm okay, I don't feel as stressed anymore. Because one goal can so easily, as we are seeing in the game right now. But following that, that game did not go how I expected it to go. That game very much upset me. We ended up losing 6-3 to the Predators. We gave up a shorthanded goal in the second period, which made it 2-0. Then we scored a power play goal, which was Geeky's 34th of the season. Super excited for him. Super winnable at that moment, mind you. And then it went downhill. and the Preds scored 3 more that period, another power play goal for them as well on top of that, to make it 5-1. And then the third period happened. Mind you, this was, I want to say, an 8 o'clock game. So we were up late. None of us wanted to be up late. And the third hit, and we're all like, I'm kind of done. And then the Bruins decided to give false hope with scoring 2 goals to cut the lead to 5-3, which very much, I was like, I swear to God, if they're doing a comeback and this game goes to a shootout before I have to work the next morning right before trade deadline, I'm going to cry. But it didn't happen. Nashville ended up having an empty netter to seal the deal and make it 6-3. We had, besides Geeky, we had a goal from McAvoy and Arvidsson. I believe this was the game we also had a goal waved off. I know we challenged one of their goals as well. Yeah, and it wasn't called back for interference, but based off the actual penalty for interference that we had gone earlier, it felt a bit weird. But I think I'd have to watch it again because I don't really remember. So I'm going to pull it up just because I don't want to necessarily say yes, it was interference or no, it wasn't, especially if I can't really remember what it was. What are you touching? Yeah, that was. Oh, the heck is down? That one was weird because he kind of hit him, but I felt like he still had the chance to play, so I wasn't too annoyed about it. And then we also challenged the goal that started the game, the Penguins. Sorry, this is something I noticed. We haven't really challenged much this season, but we had 2 back-to-back challenges in 2 games. That kind of just threw me for a loop because we haven't really been doing that. And then all of a sudden, look, there's a challenge in this game for goaltender interference and a challenge in this game for goaltender interference, which is just like insane to me that they happened. But then again, what really is goaltender interference? Because if you look at other goals that get called back or goals that don't get called it just across the league, it's up in the air. It's been a thing for years where no one knows what goaltender interference is, and it's annoying. But from that horrible loss, we then had a game Saturday where we played the Capitals. This is where I wanted to bring up Steves. So following the 6-3 loss, we took Aizemont out of the lineup and put Steves in for Saturday's game. Saturday, we ended up beating the Capitals in a very much must-win game for the wildcard race. We beat them 3-1. We had a power play goal from Zacha, goal from Arvidsson, and a goal from Elias Lindholm. The game stressed me out. None of the scoring happened until the second period. The second ended. It was 1-1. And then we came out in the third. We made it 3-1, which I'll take it. It's also, this is going to get brought up again later, but I'm going to say it again anyways because I think it's cool, so you're going to hear this twice. But the last time we played them, which was the season opener, we also beat them 3-1. So it's just really interesting that we beat them 3-1 both times we played them. But that was the Washington game. It was the first game after trade deadline, so our lineup didn't really change. But the Washington lineup did change. They no longer had Carlson because they had traded him. So that, I feel like, made the game a lot more interesting. Also, it was a bit noticeable that he wasn't there. So I don't think that necessarily contributed to them losing, though. But then we played Sunday. And after winning 3-1, after a 6-3 loss, you would think you would keep your lineup the same. But instead, we took Steves out, put Aizemont back in the lineup, which I didn't agree with. Felt weird. I don't know if it's because it was a back-to-back and like there's something either bugging one of them that they're like, hey, just to be safe, we're going to swap you out. But it made no sense to me because if you lose horribly and then you fix something, and I'm not saying Aizemont's the problem, but you change something and it works and you win, I feel like you'd want to stick with that format. But we were in Pittsburgh on Sunday, and oh my gosh, did that game annoy me. We lost 5-4 in overtime when we should not have lost that game, and we should not have given it away. And the current game's going to overtime. Yay! But that game was so infuriating. So it started with Zaka had a power play goal. Beautiful. Second goal, Zaka. Fantastic. We're up to 2 goals. We're looking at a potential Zaka hat trick. Then we have a Pasternak goal. Love it. Penguins get a power play goal. Whatever, I believe. I gotta check the timing of this. That's at 14:44. Yes. So that was on their 5-on-3. Feel like that was going to happen on their 5-on-3. We were up 3-0. Felt like it was going to happen, and it happened. And then we hit the third period, and things start getting weird. All of a sudden, whatever happened to the pairing of Aspro and McAvoy just did not work. Aspro was 100% having a bad game. Wasn't a normal type of game for him. Very weird. Things started going very, very wrong. At 6:02 into the third, the Penguins scored to make it 3-2. And then 33 seconds later, they scored again to tie it, which is just great. Was not fun at all. And then, to get our hopes up, Zaka scored to make it 4-3 Boston. He got his second career hat trick, the second one this season. And someone brought this up, and I'm going to say it at the end of this, but I feel so bad for him because please let this guy celebrate his hat tricks. He deserves them. But about 2.5 minutes later, the Penguins scored again. And of course, Parker Wotherspoon, former Bruin, had the primary assist. But that tied the game. We went to overtime. And then 17 seconds in, the Penguins scored to win the game. That very much should have been a Boston game. It should have been a Boston win, which I guess is a Boston game. But the Bruins should have won. Very infuriating that they let the game get away from them. But also, the hit on Pasta that happened right before the goal, and there is no penalty. And then Pasta went off on the ref after the goal. Was so understandable because what? Where was the penalty? There was penalties like galore in the Washington game and in the Penguins game. There was also because they got a 5-on-3. I'm sorry. I know it shouldn't be a try to make things even. But there were some moments where I think one, they maybe should have gone the second 5-on-3. But I feel like sorry. Got a match. Yeah, 13. 13 wins in a row at home. Let's go, Bruins. That's 2 points. Sorry, I'm so excited. That now ties us in points with Montreal for 78. So if they could kindly start losing, we'd have the top wild card. We don't because the tiebreakers, they've also played less games than us, so they're ahead of us. But if Montreal starts losing, we can very easily just take that spot from them. And I wouldn't be mad. Oh, dude, I'd cry if I was that guy in front of McAvoy. He just pointed to him, and they celebrate. Sorry. Oh. It's Cope. Oh, this is actually really sad. I totally forgot. I knew Kopitar was retiring at the end of the season. I don't think I fully processed this is our last game playing the Kings. So if you're not watching the game, everyone is currently just they're on the ice doing a little handshake with him. There's a whole line. This is really cute. Yeah, this is our last game against them, and it's the last time he'll play in Boston. Oh, we have our coaches on the ice for this too. I love when this happens. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are like, they just are there to play hockey. That's it. But they're also humans at the end of the day. So this is like really, really sweet to me. So I like when we have this human side to the sport and we get these moments where it's just you congratulate a guy, even if they lose on a career, especially when it's your last time playing against them, especially when it's a player like Kopitar as well. He's fantastic. So that was such a nice goal by McAvoy. Sorry. But yes, there was a lot of stuff that I felt like got missed in the Penguins game with what it was, but it is what it is. We got a point out of it. Should have been 2 points, should have never gone to overtime. But it happens. I don't appreciate the bad games happening now, but if you have to have one now and not like potential elimination game in the playoffs. I still think we're going to make the playoffs. It won't happen with where we are, but home ice advantage, as of right now, very much feels like what we need and the only way we can win, which is very scary. I'm not a fan of that. Especially with the fact that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more home games this month and 6 away games. So we have 7 more home games this season and 11 more away games. So I need our team to start learning how to win on the road, because our last road win was back in January. It was January 17th where we beat Chicago 5-2. Ever since then, we have not won on the road. 4 of our road games. So since then, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 road games. 4 of them have gone into overtime and we've gotten a point, which is good. But you need to win them. You can't just take 1 point. 4 points in potentially 14 is not good. You need more than that, and you can't just have overtime losses. You need wins, especially wins in regulation when you're going within your conference and your division coming up. But yes, those are those games. And the Bruins game that just happened that I got very distracted from, but we are where we are with it. And it's interesting. But looking at, actually checking real quick if Montreal plays. I need their thing to load. So they already played today and they beat Toronto, which is awful because I never want either of those teams to win. But I unfortunately have to root in Toronto in this scenario because of where they are in the standings, which like I don't think the Rangers are going to pass them. I think the Rangers are probably staying at the bottom of the East. But I need Montreal to not win. I think that's rude. Yeah, so Montreal's win went in. So when I was looking at it and I said we tied them in points, I lied. Their win wasn't in yet. We're 2 points behind them now. But that does mean I'm going to actually share the screen. But here we go, standings. So Montreal is now 3rd in the Atlantic, which means Detroit is now right ahead of us, and we will be 1 point behind them. Which I'd like that. Would I like to have passed Montreal? Yes, because I don't like that they're ahead of us. But I will very, very gladly take Detroit being 1 point ahead of us when they have a game in hand. because that does give us a slight advantage here. If we have one more game to play, we have 2 more points we can earn than they can earn. So, something to keep an eye on. But as of right now, obviously, as games are ending, I'm going to give a quick refresh. Yes, here you go. We're now at 78. So as games are ending, these points are going to change. I do not have it open who is... I can swap it. Who's actively playing right now. So right now, Carolina and the Penguins are playing each other. They're in overtime. They don't matter to us. They're in the Metro. They're where they are. We can't pass them. Would be great if we could, considering if we were in the Metro, Boston wouldn't even be a wild card team right now. We would be the 3rd team, which is just crazy to me. But, that's how it works. And then, who else is playing? The Islanders are playing right now. Are they in overtime? They have 9 minutes remaining in their game. And that's it for the East. Ooh. Sorry, they're sharing a set of our last 8 games at home against the Kings. So our last game at home was in October of 2024. We won 2-1 in overtime. All of these, our last 8 games were all in overtime with the exception of one being a shootout, but they all went past regulation, which is insane. Sorry. Anyways, back to this. I'm going to zoom in slightly. Hopefully you guys can see it better. Yes, okay. So, Buffalo, no way we're passing them. They're doing stuff. I don't even know who this team is. Because what do you mean the Buffalo Sabres are making playoffs? The last time that happened, I was a young, small child. Right? I'm really hoping they didn't make it when I was a teenager and I just called myself younger. If I remember correctly, Buffalo hasn't made the playoffs. I mean, it has been years, but the last time they made the playoffs, can you tell me kindly? I want to go year by year. Okay, the last time was in the 2010-2011 season. So that was our cup win. That's insane that that's the last time they made the cup. I'm not gonna lie, I really thought it was back in 06 was when they last made the cup. So they made it further than I thought they did. But good for them. I do like to see teams that haven't made the playoffs in years eventually make the playoffs again. Do I like it at the chance that we might not make the playoffs? No. But good for them. Tampa's up there, which I feel like we all knew. I feel like also with the Metro, you saw the Penguins and Hurricanes being up there. Islanders have been in this weird, just missing the playoffs, making the wild card, or being that 3rd team in the Metro, that they don't necessarily surprise me with where they are. Montreal surprises me. Yes, looking at their roster, they're not bad. I just didn't see them as being that flip-flop between top wild card and 3rd in the Atlantic, and also being kind of right there with Tampa. I thought, if anything, they would kind of be in the position the Bruins are in, where they're more wild card than they are 1 through 3. Or 2 through 3, I should say. They're not, I don't see them becoming one, unless Buffalo, for whatever reason, stops winning. But I very much think that's a surprise. And then just this is a surprise as well with the entire wild card. Like the Rangers being at the bottom. Yes, their team sucked. Did not expect them to be there. Florida did not expect to be where they are, but good. Toronto did not expect to be where they are. Yes, Marner's good, but Marner should not have been what held the team together necessarily. But also good. This is going to sound so bad. As a Bruins fan, good. I'm glad they're down there. Sucks for them, but Washington being where they are is also very weird. I feel like Washington would have been the team I kind of saw where the Islanders were, or potentially in and out of the wild card as well. I do want to compare this. I'm not going to do it now because I don't know where this paper is unless it's right on my desk. So I might look real quick. But I know before the season we predicted who we thought would make the playoffs, and I'm 100% bringing it back when playoffs start or when the regular season ends, just to compare who I thought would be there and where I thought they would go. I don't know if I necessarily said who would make what round, but I know I said who I thought would make it to the cup. So we have that. And I kind of want to compare because I don't know if this is necessarily what I thought it was, unless it was, and then my brain swapped at the start of the season because this was all off-season thoughts. But this is stressing me. Yes, I love Columbus. Honestly, if I had to take a team out, I want Montreal out. I know that's unrealistic, so it kind of needs to be Detroit in this scenario. But I would love to see Columbus in the playoffs. I would love to see the Bruins in the playoffs, obviously. I still think we're going to make the playoffs. But I don't like only being 2 points ahead of Columbus. Granted, we do have the tiebreaker. If we tie, we have the regulation win, so I'm not worried about it. It's just, I don't like the 2-point difference this close in the season. I need it's like with goals. You don't want a 1-goal difference because it can easily be tied. I need 3-4 goal buffer. I need 6-8 points between these teams, please. But that is currently the East. And then in the West, Colorado, no surprise. Dallas, Minnesota, feel like we saw that coming. Now the big surprise really comes in with your wild card and the top of the Pacific, because what do you mean the Anaheim Ducks are number 1 in the Pacific right now? That is insane to me. I want to pull up the Anaheim Ducks when they last made the playoffs, because that was I feel like it was forever ago, but I don't think it was. Okay, the last time they made it was in 17-18. But if it goes as it is right now, the Ducks and Vegas and the Oilers, I feel like we saw Utah. I'm very happy about that. A lot of people didn't even think they would be a wild card team. So I'm very happy they're there. And I'm also very happy Seattle is up there. I'm very, very excited for that. The Kings are just out of it. They're tied with Seattle, but they have played 2 more games, so they're not in. The Sharks are also right there. Honestly, the issue is the division they're all in. I'm correct. I gotta double check this. Yeah. So I need Seattle to beat out the Oilers, and then I need the Sharks to beat out the Oilers, because no one's going to touch, I mean this nicely, they're not getting to Minnesota. Utah's where they are. I don't want Utah beaten out, so Utah can stay where they are. But it does mean I need the Oilers or Vegas. Pick your team. Oilers just might be more realistic because there is a 2-point difference, which is just the difference of 1 win. But still, it's 2 points. So it's easier to get to where the Oilers are than the Knights. But I need Seattle to go in 2 or 3, and then I need the Sharks to end up here. And I think that would be great. Vancouver at the bottom, they've traded Hughes. I'm not too surprised with how much they're getting rid of as a team. They've traded a lot of players, so not super surprising to me. Calgary being that low is a bit of a surprise. I didn't think they'd be below Chicago. But, that's what it is. Nashville's a lot higher than I thought they would be as well. Blues are at the bottom. They're not at the bottom, but they're down there, and that makes me happy. And then Winnipeg. I feel like Winnipeg's that team that you're like, I can see them making it. I can see them not making it. So it's like a shock, but not a shock, if that makes sense. And that is the current standings as of right now. Oh, and then with trade deadline. Totally forgot to mention this. Nick Foligno got traded back. Not back. He was never played there. But he got traded to the Wild, so he's now playing with his brother Marcus. It's for his chance to go for the Cup. He was the captain, or he was with Chicago for the past 3 seasons. He was their captain. I very much think, especially with it being the last year of his contract and he is now being traded to go for the Cup, specifically on his brother's team, it is most likely, in my opinion, his last season. He just hasn't publicly said it yet, and that's why he's on his brother's team of all teams that he could have gone to. But that's just my thought. But I believe that is it for the week. So that now means with the end of the episode, we get a look at the week ahead and go through predictions. Jacob's not here for this one, but I made him give me all of his predictions before this starts, so I'm not technically alone. But coming up this week, we have, oh no, it zoomed in on everything. We have Thursday, we will be playing the Sharks at home. That is a 7 o'clock game. We played the last time we played them was in November. They beat us 3-1. They are 3-4-3 in their last 10. They lost to Buffalo today. Jacob made this before that loss went in, so he was looking at it with them on a 5-game point streak. But they are on a 3-game losing streak. That doesn't really change my opinion. But he has it as 2-1 Sharks, and I am also thinking 2-1 Sharks. And then for today's game, I don't know if I mentioned this. I believe I mentioned mine. I don't think I mentioned his. But I had 4-2 Boston. Was not right at all. Not even close. I thought with it being for a wild card battle for both teams, it was going to be a lot more exciting. It was not. Jacob had 1-0 Boston, so close enough. It was 2-1. About the same thing. Not really, but close. But, so that was for today, and then that's with the Sharks. And then we have another lovely matinee game on Saturday. This one is against Washington again. It is at 3 o'clock this time. The last time we played them was last Saturday. We beat them 3-1, and the time before that was the season opener in Washington where we also beat them 3-1. They are currently they are 6-4-0 in their last 10, and they won their last game. Before that, they were on a 3-game losing streak. Sorry, he's here now, and that startled me. But because of all the 3-1s, Jacob has 3-1 Boston again. And I respect that for him. I don't think that's how it's going to go. Granted, how I thought last time was not what happened at all. But points are needed, and it's an away game, and I don't trust this team. So I'm not even thinking overtime. I'm thinking it's going to be like no, not overtime. I'm thinking like 2-0 Washington. Which is awful, I know, but that's my thought. And then after that, we play the Devils on Monday. So there is a 50-50. I will be recording on Monday. There is also a game Tuesday. You will see me when I record one of these days with the game on in the background again. I have to figure out what's going on with birthday stuff first before I figure out if I'm recording Monday or Tuesday, but I will actually post that this time. I promise, guys. I'll be on it. I won't be stuck dealing with birthdays, I promise. But we are playing the Devils. We will be in New Jersey for this one. The last time we played them was in December. We beat them 4-1. This will be our second meeting. We don't play them again until the end of the season for both our final game and our final home game. Currently, the Devils lost to Detroit, so they're on a 1-game losing streak, just like we're on a 1-game winning streak, which is really nothing. Before that, they did win 4 in a row, so they're 4-6-0. In their last 10, Jacob had 3-2 Devils. I think the Devils are the team we're going to kind of beat our away curse on. I think we're going to win. And I want to have faith in our win, so I'm going to say 4-1 Boston. Because I would very much like that to be real. Because it would be great. But that is where we have our predictions for. I didn't ask Jacob for this, but if I end up recording on Tuesday, whether I have a guest, so if I record on Tuesday, when I post about it, I will also post what I end up predicting for that game if I'm not recording on Monday. And then if I have a guest, I'll see if they'll want a guest for the game before it happens, or I'll just use Jacob again because he's already picked for the week. But that Montreal game, regardless of if I pick now or then, it's a Bruins win because I'm never going to pick Montreal to win. So just know that. The score will just be determined on Monday. And you'll learn then. But anyways, that is the end of this episode. This team is, as you kind of saw with me watching, stressful. Because of course we're going into overtime and not winning in regulation and getting, I mean, we still won, but like, they could just win in regulation. Would be great. But with the end of our episode, I wanted to say thank you for joining us. I'm also going to bring up book club again because why not? The official post is going to go out tomorrow, but if you are interested in joining book club, either leave a comment or send me a message. I will send you the link to the Discord so you can join. But for March, the book is Behind the Net by Stephanie Archer in honor of her 5th book in the series coming out. I want to say it was at the start of this month or the end of last month, but the 5th book just recently came out. So let me know if you're interested. Again, we do have a store, so if you want some cute merch or some nice comfy clothes for the warm weather that we are now suddenly getting, you can scan the QR code or go to bsen617.square.site and get some very cute stuff. You can find BSEN at BSEN_617 on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also find them on TikTok with an extra underscore, so _BSEN_617. You can find the podcast at Pucks and PPs Pod on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. And then with the Discord, you can message me about that even if you don't want to join the book club, but you want to join the Discord. We have a trading card. We talk about trading cards on there, so whether it's hockey cards or baseball. I think baseball is the other one I have duplicates of. But whatever sport, we have that, or you can just talk hockey in general. Let me know and I can send you the link. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. And then I'm Liz, and you can find me at Liz__Fraser. And I will keep you all in the loop on if it's going to be Monday or Tuesday next week. But I will see you 100% at some point next week. But have a great night, and see you all then. Bye.